Doctrine and Devotion is sponsored by Together for the Gospel. Together for the Gospel is going down April 14th through the 16th, 2020 in Louisville, Kentucky, and registration is now open. In fact, our listeners get a discount. Use the promo code DOCTRINE when checking out and save $10. Go to t4g.org for all the details. Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, a podcast exploring Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective, a day late. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, executive pastor at Redeemer Fellowship.
We late.
Yeah,
it happens.
My bad.
Wait, no, it's not even your bad.
It's okay.
No.
You can blame me. Everyone else does on social media, and everybody else thought, "Oh, let me try to swoop in there and become, the new lead host."
With their 50 followers on Instagram and their 100 downloads a month. Yeah, we're okay, guys. About 3 times now we've missed a release date. In 3 years, in 300 episodes or something.
Yeah, sometimes, listen, guys, sometimes we tired.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're like, what? Today is the day we just want to relax and enjoy each other's company.
And here's what.
And yesterday was that day.
Whew, man, yesterday was a good day. We did our 3 services, but then we had our newcomers lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Love the and that was your first time.
I felt like it was probably the best newcomers lunch there ever was.
You know what, Jimmy? It might have been. Oh, but it wasn't.
Why?
Almost was, because I didn't run my table. I was too tired to run my table. So that took it down a notch.
What are you trying to say? That my wife didn't do a good job running that table?
Was that your wife that ran my table?
That was my wife running that table. Are you saying she wasn't a good host?
If I would have known that it was your wife, I would have given her a Canadian handicap, and I would have just considered it a wash. So let's just say it was the best one.
So no, it was great. Got to know some new people. Got to know that one couple that we were sitting with, and we're gonna try to meet up for a date night with them. That's
the couple that's been married just for a few months.
Yep. So we're gonna try to hang out with them, and then actually I received a text this morning. I'd let you know.
Did you get in with the Husses?
Oh, I won the Huss Stakes.
You got in with the Husses.
Yeah, so they're in.
The Husses were my jam.
Well, they're coming to CG. So Andrew, Allie, excited that you guys are gonna be joining.
Oh, and let me just apologize in advance. What? What's wrong? I'm apologizing to them.
For what?
For choosing your CG. I just don't want them to get their hopes up. You're going to go to your CG and it's going to be like...
CG. It's the best CG that
it's a group. It's a group, all right. I'm not really sure.
It's a great group.
You know what I like about the Newcomers Lunch is we started the Newcomers Lunch at Redeemer because even though we're a small church, and especially when we started, we were a small church, but we wanted a way to get our people that were fresh coming into the church, right?
Yeah.
Who don't know very many people yet or anybody yet. We wanted to give them an opportunity to sit down, share a meal with some people from Redeemer, and learn a little bit about us. We'd learn a little bit about them. And so Rob Warford, our one of our deacons, elder candidates, he put together a way of doing this. And maybe we'll do an episode on this.
I think we should because I came away. I don't think I've told Rob this yet. That's pretty awkward. I'm going to tell everybody else, but not Rob yet.
He busy.
I came away thoroughly encouraged and impressed with the amount of work and background, information that he puts together that to make this a success. I would have just been like, let whoever shows, and let's just do what we do. No,
Rob's got those details down.
No,
man.
he's got the flow right. He's got the seating right. He really makes sure that it's all coming together.
We're going to do a whole thing because
we really should. It's a very good program.
Here's what we found, just like a little teaser. If you come, so I don't know how many people did we have? You know how many people, how many families were represented there?
How many families?
New families?
Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 9.
9 families. All right, so 9 families, kids, all that stuff. So then we had our families there as well, so they could meet some of them. And then I do like a 5-minute spiel at the end.
Yeah, which took 15. Thanks.
They've got to give the people what they want. So, but pretty much as a general rule, people that come to our newcomers lunch, they join.
They stick around.
About 9 out of 10.
Yep.
So we're gonna do.
And I know who the 10th one was because the Larsons couldn't make it.
Oh, so they're not joining?
Oh, I don't know. I was just playing around. The family was sick.
No,
there's something going around. I've heard a number of people.
A bunch of babies. Hey,
weren't you sick today?
All right, I still came into work.
Yeah, You still came into work.
I did. I came up right to my office.
Okay,
I've been here all day. Thank you very much. Except when I went out to go get Taco Bell.
Okay, so you've been in your office all day, except
because I came. Even though I felt horrible, I came right here.
All right, and then how much work did you do while you're here?
As much as conceivably possible. You're welcome.
Okay, how much time were you awake?
I don't really keep track of that.
Let's just say out of an 8-hour day. I'm going to say 8-hour day.
Okay.
1 hour for lunch. I'll just give you an hour for lunch. Just for
okay.
Fun. So 7 hours out of 7 hours today. How much work did you do?
All right. Let me just explain. Yeah. There's not a time clock where I check in and I don't.
I know. So
clock
for the last 7 hours,
okay.
how much were you awake?
Explain that. And I was feeling really sick, so I laid down and I fell asleep. I was in my office.
Yeah.
But you want me to give you on average how many hours
were you awake today?
I would say most of them. So yeah.
Most of them.
You know what though? You know what? I'm not good at math. I can keep up with that stuff. But the people,
can we say 2 hours?
Awake or sleeping?
Awake.
I feel like I'm always awake. Ninja sleep with one eye open. I'm always ready to work. But
all right, I won't let you. Man, I won't have you quantify it.
I felt horrible. Goodness, I think I laid down.
So
I think 11 to 2. 11 to 2. I laid down 11.
Wow.
Got up at 2. Whenever I called you.
Yeah. No, dude, you must have been tired. You must have had what everyone else is getting.
I felt miserable. Nah, I was just being a baby. Just like all you other people calling in sick. All right.
Stop it. All right, what are we talking about today, Joe?
We're back at the 1689. We're in chapter 20. Woo! It's getting close. Chapter 20. And we are in paragraph 1. This is on the gospel and the extent of grace. Jimmy, we're just going to do paragraph 1 today. You want to read it?
Sure. The covenant works being broken by sin and made unprofitable unto life, God was pleased to give forth the promise of Christ, the seed of the woman, as the means of calling the elect, and begetting in them faith and repentance. In this promise, the gospel, as to the substance of it, was revealed, and is therein effectual for the conversion and salvation of sinners.
The gospel and the extent of grace. Sounds like a beautiful eulogy track.
Oh yeah.
So listen, this is exciting stuff because here we're getting into the gospel, the covenant of grace. We're getting into a lot of these ideas, and it allows us then to trace these truths throughout all of Scripture.
Yeah.
And we want it to not just be a theological exercise. We want to be able to ask ourselves some important questions that are very practical as we're going through this. So we're going to keep it simple. We're going to go through chapter 20, paragraph 1 today. Make some notes so we make sure that we understand it, and then we're going to get to those questions. But Jimmy, first things first, starts off with the covenant of works.
Well, we've already touched on this back in 19. Paragraph 1, right?
Yeah, it's on the law, yeah.
On the law, it says, God gave to Adam a law of universal obedience written in his heart, and a particular precept of not eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, by which he bound him and all his posterity to personal, entire, exact, and perpetual obedience, promised life upon the fulfilling, and threatened death upon the breach of it, and endued with him the power and ability to keep it. So here we're already talking about the covenant of works here, right?
Yep. And go ahead. I was just going to say that there's some debate about among some people, in the Westminster in chapter 7, it says covenant of works. When you get to the 1689, it doesn't use it there. It doesn't. And there were reasons that they edited the document the way that they did, but it's pretty clear. I mean, any fair reading of the 1689 demonstrates that Reformed Baptists or particular Baptists, they believed in a covenant of works.
Yeah, and this universal obedience that is written on the heart of man, of not eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Right. So let's summarize it real simple. The covenant of, we've already gone through this, but just for those of you that are tuning in, it's our first episode.
And for those of you like Steve McCoy who still don't know what the covenant of
works
is.
You can tell Steve McCoy what the covenant of works is every day for a month.
And he still won't get it.
He still wouldn't know.
Man. Smarten up, Steve.
What was it? Oh yeah, I was going to summarize it. Okay,
summarize it.
Okay, so the covenant of works is essentially this. God told Adam and Eve in the garden, I am your God. I've made you for myself. And now that I've created you and put you in this garden, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be fruitful and multiply. I want you to exercise dominion over the creation. I want you to develop culture. You're going to need to cultivate the garden. There's all these things you're going to need to do. Don't negatively, prohibitively, right? Don't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The day you eat of that tree, you die.
You will die.
So here's a covenant. If you obey me, you're going to have life and blessing, and eventually you get to eat of the tree of life.
Yep.
But if you disobey me, there is death and curses. So that was the covenant of works. It was clearly contingent on the obedience of Adam.
And so now we get back to, now we're jumping back into chapter 20, verse 1. This covenant was what? Broken by sin. So they didn't listen. They grabbed that fruit that they shouldn't take and they ate of it.
That's right. So the covenant was broken. And now the only thing that we get from the covenant of works is, well, what we deserve. Yeah, death, judgment, the wrath of God, corruption and brokenness in creation. We are still reaping that. But in the midst of condemnation in Genesis 3, in the midst of the curses that God begins to drop on us, there is the first promise of Christ made, the promise of the gospel, the first time. And it happens, Jimmy, in Genesis 3:15. But what is the wording there?
Well, the wording here is the seed of the woman is this promise of Christ, right? So it's that Jesus would come, and it's this, what it is like the salvation, right? This promise of a savior, the promise of grace.
So, I mean, it's like, I remember when I was starting to wrap my brain around some aspects of this as a young Christian, and just trying to understand it from Adam and Eve's perspective, right? That God is telling us that one day our offspring is going to destroy this devil.
Yeah.
It's a pretty amazing thing. It's going to bring justice back. There's a book that we'll recommend to you guys. It's by R.B.C. Howell. R.B.C. Howell not only was a theologian, but you might know him as the inventor of root beer. He invented R.B.C. root beer. So
we all know you're lying.
What are you talking about?
Stop it.
That's a thing.
Stop it.
So R.B.C. Howell wrote The Cross and the Covenants, 2 books. Now, if you can find the Sprinkle publication, it's a red hardcover, beautifully bound. Get that. I don't care if it costs $20, $30. Get that. It's a great publication. But we're going to link to a Kindle version of this, cheaper version, and you'll just get the covenants. But in here, he talks about what he calls this Edenic covenant, right? This covenant in Eden after the fall, which is the promise of Christ. And in it, he says, what were some of those truths that were learned in the covenant of Eden upon which their faith rested? So here's some of the things he says are in this promise of Christ to Adam and Eve. Number 1, it taught them the great deliverer promised was not to be an angel. It was not to be of another race. It was going to be their brother, the seed of woman. It was going to be a man. So this Redeemer, Savior, this Messiah, all these ideas that would come later to clarify the promise was going to be humanity. And they don't even know exactly why it has to be humanity that's going to overtake the devil and bring justice, but it has to be. We learn that later on exactly why. But number 1, it's going to be a man, a human.
Number 2, they were further instructed by this covenant that Messiah was to accomplish the work of redemption through suffering. And we know that he did suffer. To Satan, Jehovah said, thou shalt bruise his heel. So, I mean, we're looking here at Genesis 3:15, right? This is expounding upon that. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. So he does suffer, but in the end, he prevails.
Right. So the suffering, again, it doesn't explain exactly why it's necessary.
Yeah.
Only that it is going to happen. And the more you study the doctrines, the more God reveals in his word, the more the promise of Christ or the promise of the gospel becomes clearer and more full. So it was understandable. It was able to be believed, but we didn't have all of the information. So what we call it progressive revelation. God progressively reveals himself throughout his word. So, Howell is saying that the Messiah was going to not be an angel, not some other strange being, but it would be of the seed of the woman. 2, he says the Messiah will accomplish this work through suffering. 3, Howell says they were distinctly here taught that the Messiah, in his mission upon the earth, would achieve a glorious conquest over all the powers of darkness. And blessed be God. He has effectually bruised the head of the great enemy. For this purpose the Son of Man was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. By his suffering he hath abolished death, and brought life and immortality to light through the gospel. And ultimately being lifted up from the earth, he will draw all men unto him. All sin will at last be blotted out, and Jesus will reign over the whole earth. So you don't get all of the details in the first promise of Christ.
No.
Just a few.
Yeah.
Just some, but it's enough for people who themselves just ruined everything. Like can you imagine? Like, cause we know what it's like. You know how hard it is when you've ruined it. Like maybe it's just a date night, with your wife. And bad attitude creeps up, and then I've really put a damper on it. Or it can be a project that you're working on, right? And you blow it, and it all rests on you. Can you imagine? And for sin, of course, I mean it's devastating. Adam and Eve had it perfect. They disobeyed God and brought ruin upon themselves. And in the midst of that, He says, "I got you." Here's a promise.
And I mean, we don't want to keep on this. We don't want to ruin everything. And
don't blow everything.
You don't want to ruin your 2020 by missing out on T4G.
In fact, this is a way, Jimmy, that they can guarantee that they don't ruin 2020 by in 2019 registering for the 2020 T4G conference.
T4G. And, since 2006, Together for the Gospel has been gathering together every other year to encourage and aid ministry leaders with 3 days. You hear me? 3 days.
Not 2 days.
Not two.
It's not a one-day micro conference.
No. But which when we do it, it's great.
Yeah, it's good. California, though.
Yeah. But, but 3 days of gospel-centered preaching, fellowship, books, and singing.
What's the theme this year, Jimmy?
The theme this year is Entrusted with the Gospel. Do you want to know who's speaking, Joe?
I'm going to guess
we got the usual suspects here.
Okay, so I'm going to guess not Mark Driscoll, not Tullian Chividjian.
No.
Not... Okay, I'll guess positively. Legan Duncans.
Legan Duncans will be there. Mark Dever will be there.
Like him.
Yep. Pope Piper is going to be making a present.
Kevin D. Money.
Yeah, D. Money will be there. Albert Moeller. Albert the Man Moeller will be there. H.B. Charles, Greg Gilbert, Tripp Lee, Ed Moore, David Platt, Richard Chin. That's a good lineup.
Okay, I got to tell you, if we go, we're probably going to go. But when we go, if you could only listen to one of these guys preach, which guy would you choose to listen to?
Legan Duncans.
Legan Duncans is the guy that I most resonate with, but I have heard him a lot. I have not heard Tripp Lee preach. And I've heard really good things about Tripp Lee's preaching.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I've heard really good things about all these guys.
Yeah, I haven't heard Legan Duncan preach, so I want to go.
Oh, you haven't heard Legan Duncan preach?
No.
You just read his sermons online?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, then we'll see Legan Duncan's for sure.
All right, we'll go with Legan Duncan's.
Now, this is going down April 14th to the 16th in 2020. Early bird pricing ends after October 31st. So before your favorite holiday of the year,
you want to make Joe's favorite holiday of the year.
Don't say that. I'm speaking to them. You can register and save, not just early bird. Yes, you're going to get the early bird. Register before October 31st, early bird. Want to make the early bird even more powerful?
Use our promo code DOCTRINE.
You get $10 more off.
What?
You register today at T4.
And guess what? Maybe if you guys tag T4G and let them know you're coming and you heard of it from the JoFo, tag Doc and Devo, maybe, just maybe, we'll be on stage.
I think they all should start a petition. There
should be a petition that there needs to be more diversity. There needs to be some JoFo up there.
Right. Because they've got ethnic diversity up there.
Yeah,
they've got some denominational diversity up there.
Yeah. Now why don't you just scrape the bottom of the barrel and bring the JoFo?
Yeah, you need the sludge.
Yeah, sometimes it's good.
Hashtag bring the sludge.
Bring the sludge. Okay, register today at t4g.org.
Okay, so this promise of Christ is said to be, here in the confession, the means of calling the elect and begetting in them faith and repentance, right? So this is this promise, right? The suffering servant, the seed of the woman, the Messiah, that he's going to come and bring redemption. That promise became the means of calling the elect. It is the gospel being preached, being announced, being heralded. And we see this, for example, in Genesis 15. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Right here, we see in this, what the promise of Christ was made to him in that, Abrahamic covenant. I forget who we're talking about. John, it talks right here, your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad. So the Jews said to him, you are not yet 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham? Jesus said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. So they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple.
All right, let me just back you up. When you read that last thing that Jesus says, you got to read that a little bit better.
Okay, all right.
Truly, I say to you.
Before Abraham was,
no.
I am.
Yeah, you got to hit that I am. Before Abraham was, I am. Yeah, that's you got to read it like that. Otherwise, like before Abraham was born, I am. You are what? You going to say something? So, yeah, I mean, this is crazy, right? Because so many people, particularly within some other theological tribes, have a hard time with this. Abraham was waiting for the Messiah. Abraham knew. He knew about the Messiah. He'd been instructed by the Lord, and he had this promise in the covenant, right? That through him the world would be blessed. Through his seed, redemption would reign. And even in Abraham's life in Genesis 15, right, we see that he believed God, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness.
That's
he
right.
was justified by faith before
doing anything.
Yeah, because it's salvation. In the Old Testament is the same as salvation in the New Testament, right? Old covenant, new covenant. Salvation is the same. It's the gospel hope of the forgiveness of sins and reconciliation with God by faith alone, grace alone, in the coming Messiah alone. They didn't know very much details about that. But even this is explained in paragraph 1 when it says, in this promise, the gospel as to the substance of it was revealed and is therein effectual for the conversion and salvation of sinners. So there wasn't a different salvation process for people in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
They weren't saved by offering animal sacrifices. They weren't saved by observing festivals. Those were important things in the life of Israel.
They were foreshadowing.
Yeah.
They were foreshadowing the true salvation.
So all those things were pointing to it, and they were still saved by looking forward to the reality, right?
Yeah.
To the antitype. So, Jimmy, people before Christ, they looked to the future, right?
Yeah.
And then people after Christ, they look into the past to see the same thing. What did God the Father do with his Son? Right? That's been our thing. So when you look at this paragraph, right? Big picture here. This paragraph is summarizing for us that after the covenant of works was broken, God began with much pleasure to hold forth the promise of Christ. Now, some people would say this is the covenant of grace, right? The covenant of grace is herein established. It is salvation through God's mercy rather than through man's merits, right? Established right here. Now, good stuff. We like this.
Yeah. But are we known for this?
This is the thing. And we don't mean, like, I don't think you mean, are we known for covenant theology, which is a good thing. Here, Jesus has been our hope and our message since God ever made that first promise.
And that's what I mean. Are we known for being that people that are looking that embrace that hope, that embrace that message and share that, live by that?
So are we known as the people who herald the gospel and the extent of grace? Are we known for that? Because, you could be known for a lot of things.
Some churches are known for a lot of things. Some
not bad things.
Not bad things.
Well, some of them are bad.
Some of them are bad.
Yeah.
Some of them could be known for, I'm a 1689 church.
Right? 1689ers, right? Westminster standards, like the Reformed standards. Like, okay, so those are good things. Some people are known for just vibrant, growing churches that are growing very quickly with lots of conversions.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, some are known for their high production and their on-point worship.
I'm
just saying.
I'm not going to put that in the category of like that's awesome. I'm just going to be like that.
Well, yeah, they want to do things excellently unto the Lord.
Their Lord, Satan.
Oh, stop.
So yeah, right. We got people that. And then preachers, like they're known for various things, right? Some preachers are known for hitting certain topics and issues. I'll tell you this. And this is why it's important to us. I remember when I was a student at Moody and I was graduating, and I had a reputation with on campus, I suppose, with a large group of people, and I know that they all thought of me as a theologian, and I think most of them thought of me as a good theologian, but nobody when they thought of me thought that guy loves Jesus. Now, I don't think they would say, well, he doesn't love Jesus, but that's not what they were. That's not what it was.
That's not what stuck out.
That wasn't, that guy loves God's people. And I just noticed, like, those aren't the only things, but I noticed, like, wow, you could be known for being a theologian and still be missing some things. And I don't think it's that you care so much about how are other people thinking about you, but the issue is what is true about you. What is it that you are really heralding? Are you known for this gospel message above other things?
And with that, then, like, when we're known for this, we recognize and we see that in others. And does this allow us to find friendship and unity with other believers that may not align with us on our theological hobby horses?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the stuff that's going down. Well, it's like this whole synod with the founders and everything.
Yep.
So, like, founders, Reformed Baptist guys, always consider them friends. We have a difference of opinion in terms of how they're approaching this particular issue of social justice in the church today.
Not necessarily against the cause and what they're looking to highlight.
Yeah. Like, the theological problems that we have with much of what is going on in the social justice movement, we share those concerns. It's more about approach, and there are a few things there, but they unfriended me.
Oh, you're going to talk about this?
Unfriended me all of a sudden. But years written for Founders Journals, all of a sudden, boom! Like,
but Founders, not like Tom or any of those.
Tom unfriended me. Founders unfriended me. Tom's daughter unfriended me.
I think Tom's still following me.
Yeah, it's because he doesn't know he's following
Tom.
He doesn't know who J_Fowler63 is.
I'm gonna check now. I'm gonna see. Are we talking?
You know he's still following you.
How do I know? Yep, follows you. There he is. Yeah. Tom's followed me.
Oh, wow, you're up to 130 followers, Jimmy. That's
great. I'm getting up there. I'm getting up there, bro.
So here's the thing. Like, this should not be and just as I don't follow people that don't follow me, so I don't follow them anymore either. So
no, you did not. Did you really? Why?
Because I don't follow.
They still got good content.
I don't follow people that don't follow me. I just don't do it. I follow people that we have some sort of reciprocal relationship with.
Okay.
If they're not going to see my stuff, then how are we going to interact?
Yeah, I forget that it's all about what you can get out of a relationship rather than what you give. Continue.
It's about what. No, it's not about what I can get. It's about what they can give. So I'm giving them the opportunity. But it shouldn't be that way, right? We should be able to. I think if we are, and by the way, I
would love if everyone just tagged Tom and Joe, and let's ask Tom, why did you unfriend Joey?
Oh, don't do that, because now you're just gonna. Thanks a lot, Jimmy. All right, listeners, don't play, because now you're just gonna make somebody mad. You're gonna make me mad. I don't feel like I did anything wrong, but like, don't make it awkward for people.
Well, you made it awkward for pointing it out. Continue.
No, I didn't. That's just life. You're making it awkward by having people stir the pot. No stirring the pot.
Okay, I might be stirring the pot.
Yeah, stop stirring the pot.
And it sounds like fun. Let's
just let it simmer as it is. Hot enough. You're stirring it up. And for the record, obviously those guys love Jesus. They love the gospel. They seek to win. Like, there's no beef there. But I can see how there have been times in my life where certain issues and certain doctrines, causes which are important and need to get highlighted, can, and I'm not saying this is true of them right now. I'm just saying that can, and it has in my life, created a bit of an imbalance. And so no matter what issue I'm pushing, right, whether it's grown men shouldn't wear short pants out in public, or which I'm a firm believer in, or whatever it is, like whatever those secondary issues are, I want the gospel and the promise of Christ to be so big that I can roll with and be friends to varying degrees, those that share the same message, even if we have differences.
Yeah.
Like, we got charismatic brothers in town. We're not going to put together a night of theology and collaborate on like key doctrines, because we're going to have too many disagreements.
Yeah.
But I can still like put my arm around them, love them, consider them.
Be encouraged by what God is doing through them.
Yeah, I am. I talked to Dan. Dan, I don't think Dan listens, but if he does.
No, Dan doesn't listen.
Dan, if you happen to listen to this one, you are super charismatic, and I love you. And I'm super uncharismatic, and you love me. And whenever you hear what God's doing and how He's preaching, man, I'm just excited about it.
Yeah.
So I think your question is good, right, Jimmy? Like, are we known for this? Does this truth allow us to unite with other believers, or are we allowing other issues to create unnecessary, hard divisions when it should only be varying degrees of distinction rather than hard separation. So if this is this big, this is a big deal, right? The gospel and the extent of grace, that should be, all kidding aside, right? That should be our jam above everything else. That should be what we are most excited about, and not, this is particularly true for cage stagers, right? So when you finally become a 5-point Calvinist, which doesn't mean you're reformed yet, but it's good. Mm-hmm. You get into that cage stage. You're on the cage stage, and you just need to be locked up for a while because you're just going to wind up biting everybody that gets too close to you. It's even worse if you go from being Baptist to Presbyterian. Holy cow. Rabid cage stage. That's what that is. Yeah. You need rabies shots in the belly, the whole thing. But this is, I think, the cure, is understanding, meditating on, and delighting in the gospel as the point. Every other doctrine that we believe in, helping us to enjoy and to promote and to preach that.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You could follow us online on Instagram and Twitter at DocandDevo, or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head to the website, doctrinedevotion.com. There you can contact us. You can sign up for the email blast. Hit up the store at jofostore.com and grab some gear. You want to head on over to t4g.org. Use the promo code Doctrine and save $10. It's going to be a great time at the T4G conference on Entrusted with the Gospel, happening April 14th through the 16th in Louisville, Kentucky.
You know what I'm going to do when I get there?
What? Go find a cigar shop?
In Indiana, the better shops. I think maybe the only shops are across the river. But yeah, we'll have that squared away. I'm going to get coffee at Quill's.
Okay.
Because I like that. I'm going to get some really good barbecue.
Okay.
What's it called? Is that place?
I've never been there.
There's some really good barbecue down there. And then I'm gonna go across the river to the cigar shop. That's what I'm gonna do.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, and Jimmy's gonna drive.
Fresh pod every Monday except for today, and Thursday. Blog post on Wednesdays. Later.